Hey everyone, this is Hollander Cooper from GamesRadar.com, and I've beaten Ryse.
And this is Ryan Telchnik, and I've not played the game at all. So tell me, Jonathan.
Yes.
I've heard mixed things about this game just from its preview showings. Does it suck?
It does not suck.
Good news.
Yeah, I think everyone sort of expected it to suck because when they first showed it off, it did suck. You saw it when they first showed it off.
I played it. I was not impressed.
It was pretty much just QuickTime Event City.
Yeah.
And so it's actually pretty cool. It's a big blockbuster looking game. The combat's interesting. It all works together. It does not suck.
So give me a little bit of a breakdown of what this game even is and how it works.
Yeah, so you're playing as a guy named Marius. You are a Roman gladius? Is that what it is? I don't know. It means that you use a sword and a shield.
Sure.
And you have one of those cool Roman war helmets. Not that kind. The good kind.
Right.
And you pretty much just fight your way. You're fighting barbarians. You're fighting other... It's just a basic Roman warrior tale. But it ends up having a pretty interesting plot by the end. I expected very little in the first few hours about the story because it's very oh no, my family... something bad happened, and now I'm angry, and now I'm going to join this group of soldiers. And it evolves into something much more interesting by the end.
Okay, and of course, this being a next-gen launch title, how's it look?
How does it look? It is a beautiful game. I think I've played pretty much every next-gen launch title so far on both systems. I played Killzone. I've played them all, and I really feel like Ryse is probably the best-looking next-gen game. It's just crazy, crazy good looking. Near photorealism in the characters, ridiculously detailed blood and gore, amazing particle effects. It's not like there's a lot of games on next gen that are just throwing flashy particles around to mask the fact that they still kind of look like last gen games. But this is an experience that when you look at it, you're like, there's no way this could have been done on previous generations and looked anywhere nearly this good.
Okay.
Just the light shining off the armor. It's so detailed.
Well, as a Roman soldier, I expect you're going to be doing a lot of killing in the game, and when I played this back in E3 6 or 8 months ago, it was all QuickTime events. So tell me, how's the combat now?
There are still some QuickTime events, but it's a lot better. So you actually, it's almost sort of like Assassin's Creed or Batman's combat in that you have your light attack, which is just a stab with a sword, and then you have another attack, which is you bash with your shield, and then if somebody's about to hit you and you hit the deflect button, you block them. It's not like the Batman version, which is you beat the hell out of them when you block them. You just block them. But as you do that, you build up a counter meter that actually, there's 4 different... each direction on the D-pad changes, what your counter buffs. You can make it so the higher counter you get, the more health you regen, or the more focus you gain, or the more experience you get, stuff like that. But then when you get an enemy weak enough, you can do an execution move. And the execution move is a QuickTime event, and you're going to do them all the time. But you can't lose them. It's not like that. The only thing that you lose is the counter doesn't proceed as much.
Okay.
So you're going to fight, if you fight 5 guys, you're probably going to do 5 QuickTime events. They're quick, and it's not like, oh no, I messed them up, I lose. Even if you mess them up, you're still going to cut off somebody's arm and then stab them through the neck and then throw them off a building. That's just going to happen. So the QuickTime events are in there. They're not really frustrating. I've always hated QuickTime events that are like, oh, I forgot to hit X, so I lost. So It's not like that.
Okay, cool.
And the thing I'll say about the combat, though, is it never really evolves past that. The combat in the first level is identical to the combat in the last level, except maybe you have, you can throw a spear every so often. It's really, and I guess it makes sense because at one point I'm like, oh, well, why don't I get a giant sword or 2 swords? And it's like, well, I'm a Roman soldier all Roman soldiers used that weapon. It wouldn't make sense if I all of a sudden was like, I'm gonna buck the trend as the leader of this army and start using this crazy crossbow. So it does end up kind of becoming repetitive by the end. But at the same time, it's just, you're a dervish of destruction. It's really, really bloody and looks really good, so it ends up being rewarding the whole way through.
Okay. Now, is this the kind of game you're going to play for 6 to 8 hours and then be done with forever, or is there any kind of element to keep you kind of coming back and replay or anything?
It's kind of the game you're going to play 6 to 8 hours and
One
then be
and
done
done
with.
huh?
There are other things to do. So as you play, you get experience that you can use to unlock new finishing moves and stuff, but you can get most of them on your first playthrough. There's an arena mode that takes place in the Colosseum, And you can play it either alone or with a friend in like a co-op thing. And there's like a crazy unlock system where the better you do, the more coins you get, and you can spend those coins to upgrade your soldier, and that's pretty cool. But the combat's not deep enough for me to think that you're going to be doing it that much. It's just like a cool distraction. I almost think they could kind of like spin it off into its own free-to-play kind of thing if they wanted to, just because but at the same time, it's not super compelling. It's just something that you could get a few more hours out of.
Sure.
It sort of reminds me more of like a Call of Duty in the single player. It's like a big blockbuster. You're running through it. There's shit blowing up. It's just if Michael Bay directed Gladiator kind of thing.
Fair enough. And what did you end up scoring, Ryse?
I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5. I went in with kind of low expectations because, I mean, the court of public opinion already deemed that this game was garbage. But in the end, it was not. It's actually super fun. It has a heart, which I didn't expect. And the story goes some unique places. And I personally am excited for Ryse 2, though I'm not 100% sure it's going to happen, because I'd like to see what would happen if they had more time to really make a big next-gen version. This one, even without any foot holding it back in the last gen, and maybe being able to get new weapons, find an excuse to give them some daggers or something. So that would be really cool. And so yeah, you can check out the full text review and plenty of other stuff on GamesRadar.com.